This is the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com, hosted by Jerry and Mark, your one-stop shop for all horrible movie reviews. From the latest blockbusters and independent films to classics, let Mark and Jerry convince you the world is a dangerous place, though often good for a laugh. Now come and listen to the Horror Movie Show, if you dare.
Hey there, folks. Jerry here.
And Mark.
Bringing you another episode of the Horror Movie Show on hmpod.com and Eli Roth's The Crypt. You can find us at www.fearthecrypt.com. Also, it's an app on iTunes for all iPad-type devices. Check it out. Check it out. Lots of horror right there.
Right.
In the pocket of your pants.
Okay, you can take that a number of different ways.
Yeah, well, there's lots of stuff in your pants. So I just want to mention, since we're talking about horror, read something online recently about how Americans are getting dumber.
Really?
Yes, year by year, the average level of education and gullibility and, simple intelligence in the United States.
Hence Fox News.
It's a big part of it. It's a big part of it. The reason is that education has always been a state function. Now, unfortunately, the states that you would expect to be anti-evolution, anti-science, pro-creation, pro-literal Bible stuff, southern states, they tend to choose people for the school boards to make decisions to educate children. They make their decisions, these people, based on the fact that they already are creationists. They already believe the Bible to be literal. Mm-hmm. And so they don't want science pushed, so science isn't pushed. So the kids, and a lot of these kids wind up being homeschooled, and they simply aren't getting a well-rounded education. Consequently, on average, like the states on the edge of the country,
right,
they tend to be world-class students, on par with Canada, Japan, Germany, France, England. But the southern U.S. is the center of the country, is dragging the average down so that education levels of kids is significantly below that of other countries. And this is a worry. Mm-hmm. Because where will scientists come from? Where will innovation come from?
Right.
As somebody commented after this article on, as I say, I read it online, Idiocracy, the movie, is not fiction. It's coming true.
Right.
More and more dimwits having more and more children who are even dimmer than their parents until eventually there won't be anybody who can fix a toilet. They simply won't believe that the toilet can be fixed because it's God wants the toilet to be broken.
Right.
So the toilet will stay broken. If God wants the toilet to work, God will make the toilet work. Terrifying.
Do you really think that they go to that extent of belief?
Well, the mindset seems to be that, say denial of climate change.
Right. Less
than 3% of scientists who actually know about climate.
Right.
Less than 3% say human beings could not be causing this. Right?
Yeah.
More than 97% of the scientists around the world believe that, yes, man is having a very bad effect on the world's climate.
Yeah, you saw that on Colbert Report with Bill Nye.
I've been following it for years. But the thing is that the deniers, and that is almost 50% of Americans.
Right.
So it's well over 40% of Americans just simply refuse to believe any facts about this. They have their minds made up. They believe what they're told to believe by Fox, by the petrochemical companies.
Yes.
By the car manufacturers and so on.
Yeah.
And they refuse to believe it because since God is in charge, man can't be wrecking the earth. And since man isn't wrecking the earth, then man can't fix it. It's all down to God. There is nothing we can do. And and yet these Bible thumpers who claim, the earth is only 6,000 years old and so on, these same Bible thumpers ignore all the nice things that Jesus had to say. all his recommendations, if you will, like love thy neighbor and don't cast the first stone.
Right.
You know, they ignore all that because they're homophobic, they're racist, you know, they're intolerant of anyone who doesn't share their belief.
And they all want a gun.
Yeah, you know, it's every one of these tired arguments that is trotted out again and again and again against Obama.
Well, it's the only way the Republicans get any votes.
Yeah.
And that's the sad part.
I don't even blame the Republicans. The Tea Party is now so far beyond the Republicans that they just kicked out this Eric Cantor, who is one of the most right-wing of all the Republicans. And he's not right-wing enough because the stance that defeated him, even though he put something like 40 times as much money into his campaign as his teabagging opponent, the reason the teabagger won is that Cantor said the children of Mexican illegals who are born in America should have a chance to be American.
Right.
And the teabagger took that and said, oh my God, this guy is so soft. He is such a pinko when it comes to foreigners.
Yeah.
Taking American jobs. It's just ridiculous. You know? Anyway, you know, I haven't been talking a lot about politics, but that's really been galling me. And I think anybody who listens to me blather on here each week knows that I'm Canadian and I'm therefore an unbelievably communistic pinko liberal anarchist. So anyway, nothing new to our listeners.
But we've got a conservative government.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, and I'm not happy with Stephen Harper. He's a miserable sod who just works again for the oil company.
They're selling away us. They're selling away our future.
Yep.
To the big business.
Yep. Right now we're in a big battle. They want to drive pipelines from Alberta tar sands to Vancouver City Harbor here so that they can send it to China, send this horrible, poisonous oil to China.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
And it's amazing how many commercials we see on the TV promoting it as, oh, this is really good for us.
It's all about jobs. Jobs. And the facts, as I've seen them, is that there'll be jobs building the pipeline, and then the jobs dry up.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, it's just a matter of waiting for, you know, this huge increase in oil tankers to crash off the coast of BC and destroy us the way they destroyed the fishing industry and tourism
and not only
in
that,
the Gulf of Mexico.
It's promoting, again, destroying the planet.
Yeah.
You know, let's use more oil.
Yeah.
Let's
use it faster.
Yeah. Let's get it out there, man.
Yeah, and give it to the Chinese.
Instead of saying, you know, okay, we've got tidal power, we've got wind power, we've got solar power. Yeah. Let's try to develop those technologies. No. It's how can we build a pipeline to get...
Because all the politicians have been bought.
Yeah.
Bought and paid for. And most of the ones who are supposedly center or left of center are also bought up, you know. The only people I think I can vote for are the Greens. I don't trust anybody else. They're all a bunch of liars.
Yeah.
And they're all essentially backing the same team, no matter what they say. In the U.S., the Democrats and the Republicans are both big business parties.
Yes.
You know, you look at Obama's record, he's almost a mirror image.
He hasn't stopped fracking, that's for sure.
He hasn't stopped most of what he said he'd do, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh boy.
Well, it's scary because I just watched the season conclusion of Cosmos, the new version, and it's like we're on a downhill slope to destroying the whole frickin' planet.
No future.
And we're the only species that has the capability of fixing the situation, and it's complete greed that prevents us.
Yeah.
We are the
short-term gain.
Yeah.
For long-term horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like these people, they don't care. Oh, well, I'll be dead.
Yeah.
Who cares what happens to the planet?
Do these people not love their children? Do they really not love their children?
Or anybody else, for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, their children. You would think if they love no one else, they would love their children. But they don't even seem to love their children.
Or their grandkids.
But and you can't say that these people are denying it for twisted religious reasons.
No. It's greed.
It's pure monetary gain.
Yeah.
It's to satisfy the stockholders and to get that big $5 million bonus at the end of the quarter. And it makes no sense because no matter how much money you've got, how good is your life going to be if you're living in an underground bunker on canned food? You know, because the surface is uninhabitable.
Yeah.
You know, is this really the future that you're planning for, J. Paul Getty? Is this really what the rich want to do, is live in a hole? You know, their hole is going to be much nicer than our hole.
Yeah.
They win!
Yeah. Woo. Yeah.
It's terrifying.
But there will be no more, animals. There will be no more plants.
No. It's like the last scene in Dr. Strangelove where they discuss the building greenhouses and slaughtering animals underground. What kind of a life is that? We're talking about THX 1138 here.
Yeah.
Where it'll have to be so highly regulated, there will be no freedom. Everyone will simply be managed as if we are pigs in stalls.
Yes.
Definitely. And God knows what we'll be eating. We'll wind up eating Soylent Bloody Green.
Oh, we'll be talking about sort of that kind of thing in Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer. All right, let's get on because that is a good movie to end this show on. This is a retrospective, one of the retrospectives we do occasionally. This one is about Chris Evans' movies. Such a nice young man. So clean cut in most of his movies.
Not totally horror related.
No, not entirely. But we're going to start by talking about two Captain America movies. The First Avenger, which was 2011, and Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which is new this year. The first one, directed by Joe Johnston, written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. The second one, The Winter Soldier, directed by Anthony Russo and Joe Russo, written by Christopher Marcus, Stephen McFeely, and Ed Brubaker, who had the concept and story. So Chris Evans stars as Steve Rogers and also Cap in both of these.
Yeah, I like that.
Cap. That's what they used to call him in the comics when I was reading them. Cappy.
So Bucky and Cappy.
That's right. Yes, very, very 1940s all-American sort of nicknames.
And that's didn't he originate in the 40s?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure he was like World War II.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. I'm pretty sure he was
Captain America.
Yeah. So do you want to split them up, or should we talk about them at the same time? Let's talk about the First Avenger. I only saw this recently. I hadn't seen it before. So
really?
This was a surprise to me that it's almost entirely set in World War II.
Yeah.
And Steve Rogers is a little weedy guy, and I thought that was a very good effect.
Yeah.
The fact that they make Chris Evans look like he's about 5'4" and 98-pound weakling.
Yeah, exactly.
And the army won't have him because he's just too much of a little weed.
Yeah.
So he gets tagged to be the experimental soldier, and they turn him into Captain America.
Yeah,
God knows what would have happened if they'd started with a 7-foot huge man to begin with.
Well, that was the whole thing. The guy was, I guess, a German scientist that defected to America that was developing this super serum for soldiers. And what they're trying to do is...
Stanley Tucci's character.
Yeah.
That
what they're trying to do is develop a serum that they could create a race of super soldiers that would fight their wars for them.
Right.
Now, they weren't being successful. And they had tried it in Germany.
Right.
And hence...
they were missing one part.
Hence where the skull comes from.
Right.
And then he defects because the scientist figures that the Germans aren't going to do the right thing with this...
Oh, really?
With this serum.
Do you think?
So he goes in and he's developing it for the Americans, like they're going to do anything better than the Germans.
Hey, you can't fault the Americans for anything they did in World War II. It's the last time there was a true clear-cut enemy that the Americans were fighting were the Nazis.
Yeah.
You cannot say, the Nazis had their good points. No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did. They knew how to make tanks.
But that's not good because they did it for themselves. I'm saying that nothing they did.
And they did make a real cheap car, the Volkswagen.
Yeah, and nobody ever saw one because the Volkswagen factory was turned into making armored vehicles.
Yeah.
So who else is in the movie? Haley Atwell plays Peggy Carter. Sebastian Stan plays Bucky Barnes. Tommy Lee Jones plays Colonel Chester Phillips. He's the army dude in charge.
Chester
Phillips. Hugo Weaving, from The Matrix and the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit movies. Excellent actor from Australia. He plays Johann Schmidt, also known as Red Skull. Dominic Cooper plays Howard Stark, who is father of Iron Man.
Yes.
Yeah, he's good in this. Stanley Tucci plays Dr. Abraham Erskine. Now, he may have been a German soldier, but with the first name Abraham, that's a dead giveaway that he was Jewish and fled not just because he had to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And Samuel L. Jackson, who's always fun, he shows up later in the movie as Nick Fury.
Yes.
As the boss of the Avengers.
Yeah, he's trying to get the Avengers together.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I mean, it starts off with him being this wimp that cannot get into the army.
Yeah.
Tucci character sees him and sees the goodness of him.
Also, isn't there something special about him?
He really liked his attitude.
Yeah.
What he wanted was the person that it was going to become the super soldier had to know humility.
Right.
And Rogers had humility down in spades.
That's right. He was a good man.
Yeah.
He demonstrated that he was kind.
And also hero worthy.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, because being given this huge power would drive most people into frenzies of viciousness.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
power corrupts.
Right. And so he wanted a good man in order to do the job and to remember where he came from.
Right.
They do the experiment, they inject him with all sorts of stuff, and lo and behold, he becomes a 6'10", super muscular man.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Yeah.
Very well done.
It's cute.
And
little guy goes in, big guy comes out.
Yes, and there's also a romance happening with this one girl that he has the hots for.
Yeah.
And him battling the Red Skull, who was Hugo Weaving plays very well.
Oh yeah, it's a good
because
villain.
It's almost like he has makeup over the skull,
right,
and then his real face under the skull.
Yeah.
And it's like, and he plays it so well. I mean, he's so campy about it.
He's creepy. And all the cliched Nazi stuff. Well, I see no reason now I don't tell you our plot. Okay,
and
go
plus
for
the
it.
fact that even the Nazis are scared of the Red Skull. They think
he's a little unstable.
They think he's going too far.
Yeah, that's right. That's funny.
The Red Skull decides, hey, the Nazis aren't going where I want to go. I'm going to make Hydra.
Well, doesn't he already work for Hydra? Like
Hydra's a section.
Yeah.
That it's like a special scientific section of the army.
Yeah.
And they do their own thing, and they're supposed to have results for the Nazis.
Right.
And the Nazis come in once in a while. The SS comes in a while to investigate what he's doing.
Right.
But they have no idea what he's doing, and all they want is a super soldier.
Right.
Whereas he's developing these machines that'll vaporize cities and things like that.
And he's turning Hydra into a secret organization that is more powerful than
the Nazi Party, and the SS and all that, all the good stuff.
Yeah, so Captain America winds up battling not just the Nazis, but Hydra as well. And Hydra is the crux of the story of the villainy in The Winter Soldier. Which again, Chris Evans, Sam Jackson gets a much larger role as Fury in this. Scarlett Johansson, she's great eye candy, as Natasha Romanoff, also known as Black Widow. Robert Redford makes one of his rare screen appearances.
Yeah, I was surprised to see him.
The most villainous of all villains in this movie.
Wasn't he the president? No.
He's a secretary or something.
Secretary of State or something like that.
Plays Alexander Pierce, which is about as statesman-like a name as you can make up for a cartoon. Sebastian Stan plays Bucky, also known as the Winter Soldier. Anthony Mackie plays Sam Wilson, also known as Falcon. Toby Jones, who's not in the first movie, so far as I could remember, he sort of takes over for the Red Skull. He's supposed to be the German who pioneered these. He was working for Hydra on their secret weapons, and he's the one who turned Bucky into the Winter Soldier.
Right.
Jenny Agutter is in there. She plays a world counselor. I mention her just because I've always liked her. And Gary Shandling plays corrupt senator. Very small part.
Yeah, very small part, but he's played parts in. He might even be playing that same senator. I think he was in Spider-Man or something like that as well.
I don't recall.
Yeah, he had a bit part in Spider-Man, and he played some sort of senator as well.
Okay, yeah.
So it might be a recurring character for him.
He looks kind of evil, so there you go.
He has not aged well.
Oh, he was never a good-looking man.
No, but
my ass big.
Yeah, but
my ass big.
But his face is kind of like puffed out. from when at least it was round when he was younger. But now
so
it's just
funny.
It's just like he's this egg.
Loved the Gary Shandling show.
Oh yeah, I liked him too.
Yeah, he had a couple of good shows. He had the Gary Shandling show, and then he had that mock talk show.
Larry Sanders?
Larry Sanders, that was it. I loved that show. Yeah, it's great. So, The Winter Soldier is set today. It's got even more fighting and special effects than the first.
Because the original was set in the 40s.
Yeah.
And, it had a lot of special effects to make it look like the 40s.
At the end of the first one, he winds up getting buried in ice. And the end of the first movie, he is dug up, and that's when Nick Fury says, good, we've got the First Avenger.
Well, actually, it's the first 5 minutes he's dug up.
Oh, he's dug up, right. And then again at the end, we see them together. In this movie, he's still catching up on history and stuff, but he's pretty much acclimatized. He's pretty much a modern American.
Yeah, except where he still likes the old swing music. And
well, they say, the music you grew up on is the music you love all your life.
Yeah, so yeah. And I believe that's true because I do love the 70s and the 80s and
I love that
60s.
Music from the 20s.
But, I listen to the stuff they're producing now, and I'm going, eh.
Oh, kids and their music.
Yeah.
And that rap.
Yeah, but, our parents were saying the same thing.
Of course, yeah.
So, but I really truly believe that the music these days is throwaway music. You won't remember any of this crap.
I just find it very difficult to find modern tunes today that are, hummable.
Yeah.
They rely way too much on tricks and
beats and
studio nonsense.
Yeah.
There's no Beatles tunes being written today. And, there are. I mean, there's singer-songwriters, but for the most part, I mean, sing me a Rihanna song. To me, it's a lot of bellowing and howling.
Yeah.
With some kind of electronic sound put on her voice.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Cher, I'm not a big fan. So now, you probably like these movies more than I did because I'm not a big fan of comic books, although, I don't mind the comic book movies.
But we have to throw the Avengers in this mix as well because it came between the two movies.
I have that. I have that down here, but I wanted to talk about those two together. Yeah, and then the Avengers, which as Mark said, it was 2012 between the two movies. Written and directed by Joss Whedon, so I'm a big Joss Whedon fan. Love his stuff. Yeah, that's got everybody in it. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Evans, Cap, Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Scarlett Johansson, Black Widow, Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and Sam Jackson as Nick Fury yet again. Well, the Avengers I liked more than either of the Captain America movies because there's just more superheroes. Yeah. But I did find that the Avengers spent way too much of their time
fighting each other. But that's the same as the comics.
I know. Yeah.
The comics
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
I mean, I hated that about the comics is they were always fighting each other. The Hulk and who's the stronger, the Thor or the Hulk, or something like that, or who's going to take on the Iron Man is going to be,
I don't see it.
And they never get along. But that's Marvel. Right. Marvel's characters were always moody.
Right.
They were never happy characters.
I never liked Marvel when I was a kid. I always liked the DC. They just seemed a lot saner.
Wholesome?
Still a lot more sane than the Marvel ones. And Peter Parker and his girlfriend troubles. When you're 8 years old, you really don't give a damn whether he gets that date with Mary Jane or not. And I think it's kind of scary that the Marvel comics were obviously aimed at grown-ups even in the 60s.
Yeah.
Because of all this romance crap. It wasn't as if girls were reading them.
All their heroes had to be tortured heroes. Yeah. They always had to have a bad background.
Yeah, what are they, Van Gogh?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Their families were torn apart or their fathers were killed. Mind you, Batman was the same thing.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what made him. He was a nice enough guy when he was Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a playboy.
With his little gay buddy, Robin.
Yeah.
Dick Grayson, I should say.
Yeah, his ward.
Yes,
his ward.
Ward. Yeah. I got a ward for you. So,
I like the way Chris Evans plays Steve Rogers.
Yeah.
Because he's got a naivety about him. Yeah. But as well, he's got a humor. He's got some humor there because he can see the humor in things.
Right.
And so he's not always so serious. Like,
right.
Like the real Captain America was this serious.
To me, the funniest character in the Avengers is Robert Downey's Iron Man. I mean,
of course. I mean,
Robert Downey's
he's a playboy.
character, he just doesn't give a damn about anything or anybody. He does, you know, but his crusty exterior is very funny to me.
Yeah, but he's
sarcasm.
He's like Bruce Wayne, except for he's really Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
He's the playboy. That Batman's trying to pretend to be.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have a secret identity. He's just his Iron Man.
Because his ego won't let him have a secret identity.
But I just got the idea that when he reveals that he is Iron Man, it's just a matter of, this is just stupid.
Yeah.
Besides, he wants the villain to come to him.
Right.
So he reveals who he is. And the villain does come and destroys what appears to be everything.
Yeah.
And of course, it's nowhere near everything because Robert Downey Jr. is so rich that he's got secret stockpiles of Iron Men who can fly through the air all by themselves and don't even need men inside them.
Yes.
Which that's a little cheat. But hey, what the hell? It's a comic. Okay, well, let's get on to some real movies that Chris has been in, something maybe a little closer to horror. Cellular, a 2004 movie, and this was the first movie I know I saw him in, directed by David R. Ellis, written by Chris Morgan and Larry Cohen, who is the great exploitation movie behind the Trauma studio. Larry Cohen wrote the original story for this, and then Chris Morgan wrote the screenplay. It stars Kim Basinger. She was the big star of this, as Jessica Martin. Chris Evans is Ryan, and she has been kidnapped. And the bad guy, played by Jason Statham, which is unusual for him. It goes to show how early in his career this was as well.
He played a lot of meanies.
Early in his career. Now he's a hero.
But he still plays, not necessarily, an anti-hero. But
he's a Schwarzenegger and Sly Stallone sort of smart-ass hero now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but back in the mid-2000s, here's Jason Statham playing a villain. So he's kidnapped Kim Basinger, and he's left her with nothing but a broken telephone. And she manages to, because she's a grade school science teacher, she manages to get the phone working only well enough so that she can make random phone calls. She reaches Chris Evans on his cell phone, manages to convince him not to just hang up on her. And he goes to the police. He tries to get help. He finds one cop who starts putting the pieces together. And I love this guy, William H. Macy.
Yeah.
Plays Sergeant Bob Mooney. And he doesn't come to a good end. But Chris Evans is pretty much on his own trying to rescue Kim in this movie. Jason Statham, I must say, is nowhere near as powerful as he became once he was a good guy.
Well, yeah, but
he's no Superman in this movie.
He's hired as sort of the henchman and the sort of a mob boss in that he's controlling the situation on his side, and he's got underlings.
I'm a tough guy.
Yeah. And Chris plays a really nice kind of like happy-go-lucky beach bum.
Normal kind of guy.
Yeah, and he's trying to get back in with his girlfriend because she's pissed off because he's just wasting his life away at the beach.
Right.
And
now suddenly he's on a mission to save this woman's life, and that means that he's standing up his girlfriend and pissing her off even more.
But
he's also taking the opportunity to steal every sports car he can get his hands on, which is lots of fun.
There's this one yuppie guy that he steals his I don't know what it is, a Mercedes
Ferrari, I think.
Ferrari?
It
could have been a Ferrari. And he continues to steal it because the guy gets it back. It gets towed.
Yeah.
The guy goes and pays the towage fee, and he steals it right off the lot again. And that's quite the funny little byline there.
Yeah.
And it's a really well done movie. One of his first major movies, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. It was like a $25 million movie budget, and he does a really good job. Now, Basinger, on the other hand, I mean, this is before she gets really, really creepy in her older age.
That's right.
Just before that.
Yeah.
But you can see it's coming.
Yeah. And she plays a married woman in this with a kid and all. So even when she and Chris meet at the end of the movie, they aren't in it for romance. There isn't a lot of like smooches. He's also like half her age.
Yes,
so
of course.
That's cool.
But she's married.
Yeah.
And it's something her husband witnesses that has caused this whole problem.
That's why.
And he has proof of some foul play in the police department.
Right. And that's why poor William H. Macy's character, Sergeant Mooney, why he comes to a bad end. Because
Well, he doesn't come to an end.
Oh, he does.
No, he doesn't.
Don't you remember? Oh, yes. Yes, he does. He does not.
No, but he survives.
Oh, perhaps he... Okay, all right. But they try to rub him out.
Yeah, yeah.
And the reason they try to rub him out is that he's a good cop.
Yeah.
He's not in on the scam.
Right.
Yeah,
and he ends up...
Yeah.
He's...
Okay, you're right. He doesn't die. They come close to killing him.
Yeah.
And in fact, you're supposed to believe that he's dead so that when he pops back up and saves the day, oh, okay. All right.
Right.
Yeah.
The really interesting thing about this movie is it's how the cellular phone plays its part, because it really does play a part within the movie.
Yeah. And the battery, of course, is dying.
All the twist at the end is all because of the cell.
Right.
It does play an integral part of how they capture the crook and how they solve the mystery kind of thing. Right. And so it really does come into play.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's an old cell. I mean, it's made in 2004, so it's this ratty old phone. It's not a
really
smartphone.
Old. No.
It can do text.
Yeah.
And it can phone. That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
It has a camera.
You can't watch TV on it.
Yeah, it has a camera on it. So that's it.
Okay, next movie is from 2012. It's called The Iceman. Directed by Ariel Vroman, written by Vroman and Morgan Land. The star of the movie is one of my favorite actors. He's one of these guys that you've seen but probably don't remember his name. Michael Shannon. He plays Richard Kuklinski. Now, this is based on a true story. Winona Ryder plays Deborah Pellicotti. Ray Liotta plays Ray Demio. Chris Evans is in it, playing Mr. Freezy. The reason I chose this movie out of Chris Evans' movies was I thought he was the Iceman. I thought he would be the star. But in fact, Michael Shannon is the Iceman. James Franco, we'll mention him. He's in it.
For all of a couple minutes.
For a few moments, and he's got a great scene. And Stephen Dorff is also in it for one scene, playing the main character's brother. So this is about a guy who winds up working as a hitman for the mob.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of damaged.
He's a big guy, sort of looks like Frankenstein.
Yeah, Michael Shannon is one ugly mother.
He didn't set out to be a killer. No. But he kind of falls into it.
Well, he's got ice in his veins, so that when the mob more or less points a gun at him and he doesn't flinch, he doesn't seem to care. Go ahead, shoot me, don't shoot me. I got stuff I got to do.
Ray Liotta is impressed.
Yeah, Ray is impressed. He's sort of playing his Goodfellas role, only even more brutal than his character in Goodfellas. And he says, "Yeah, you're such a tough guy. Go shoot that fellow over there." So our anti-hero gets out of the car, goes over, talks to it's just a bum on the street, just some poor homeless guy. And he's handed a pistol, and he goes over and he gives the guy a smoke, and he talks to him for a moment, then he kills him. And he gets back in the car, and they drive away, and the mob guys are like, "Wow, you're a cold stone killer." So now he starts making good money.
Yeah, and his wife has no idea what's going on.
No idea. She doesn't know that he's a killer, but she knows something. She's got to know something is up, because he's bringing in
lots of money.
Lots and lots of money.
Now, he says he's some sort of trading money exchange.
Yeah, that's right.
With the money exchange.
Yeah. And of course, she wants to believe him, so she does. And
yes.
And she's a villain in her own way. She's rather shallow and greedy, so she doesn't question.
But she also has a child, with a couple children with him.
So she wants her life, but she wants an upper money life.
Yeah, she's very happy when he's bringing in the money.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
No, she doesn't question it.
And it goes on for, I guess, his 30-year career doing this. He's in it for quite a while.
Yeah.
He starts in the 60s.
Yeah, I don't know that this movie goes the whole 30 years, but it certainly goes 10 or 20.
Yeah.
It's quite a long career he has.
Yeah, and his boss, Ray Liotta, his organization is under scrutiny by other organizations, and they want him to lay low, so he kind of lays off the Iceman. Right. And the Iceman needs money.
Yeah.
So that he decides to get together with Chris Evans' character, Mr. Freezy.
Yeah.
And they're doing some
freelance.
Yeah, they're working freelance and helping each other out with bumping people off so that they can maintain their money flow.
Right.
And
They're just
Ray is getting pissed because he finds out that he's still killing people.
Yeah.
So now he's in trouble with his ex-boss, as well as a number of other people, and
plus the cops are sniffing constantly.
Yes.
So it's just a bad situation.
But I love Chris Evans played his character because he's like a surfer dude again, who rides around in a Mr. Freezy truck.
He's actually selling ice cream to kids when he's not killing people.
Exactly. And the way they do it is they kill somebody and they freeze them.
They stick them in the van.
They put them in the van and they freeze them so that the cops can't figure out when the person was killed.
That's right, because they thaw them before they dump the body.
Yeah, and they also chop them up.
Right.
And put them in these boxes.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of horrific scenes of people being chopped up.
Oh, it's a brutal movie. It's more like a character study of a monster.
Yeah.
So, it's fun. Is it horror? Well, that's stretching the definition of horror movies, I suppose.
But there's a lot of killing and dismemberment.
It's a very nasty story.
Yeah.
And Shannon
and
is
low
just
budget.
Great.
It's only a $10 million budget on this thing.
Sad
so
to say that's
very low budget.
Yeah.
It starts off in the 60s and it goes on through to the 80s, I think.
Right.
That's the time span.
Right.
But very interesting movie, and nobody gets out of this alive.
No, it's not unlike Goodfellas, where the narrator is the only one who really survives to the end. Ray Liotta's character. Okay, let's get on to a movie that I know we've talked about in the past. It's one of my favorite movies, of like the last 10 years. Sunshine. Directed by Danny Boyle, written by Alex Garland. It stars Cillian Murphy as Robert Capa, Rose Byrne as Cassie, Chris Evans as Mace. He's sort of the engineer.
Yeah.
Hiroyuki Sanada plays Captain Tanida, and Mark Strong plays Pinbacker, who, if there's a villain in this, he's really the villain. So the idea is that our sun is dying, and so using...
Probably because of fossil fuels.
Yeah,
no, that's not...
Probably the Koch brothers, yes. Yeah, that's right, it's oil. The oil companies are killing the sun. So Kappa is a physicist, and he has invented kind of a bomb. He's built 2 bombs on giant spacecraft that are going to travel into the sun and explode and reignite our star.
Yeah, the idea is that they sent the first one, and the first one disappeared.
It just vanished. They don't know
what
it
happened, and they knew it didn't work, so they sent another one.
They were building the second one, but they sent the first one out already.
Yeah.
But they evenly split all of Earth's fissionable material between the 2 ships. So they had a backup plan.
Right.
And that was the second ship. And now this is it.
Yeah.
They're on that second ship, and there is no other chance. The Earth will freeze totally solid in a matter of years if this doesn't work. However, along the way, they discover the first ship in an orbit around Mercury.
Right.
And they have what has got to be about the stupidest conversation in a very smart movie that I've seen in a long time, and that is, should we continue on our mission, or should we divert ourselves and put everything, every life on Earth, at risk to try and get that first ship working again?
I thought the discussion was very intelligent. Common thing.
What happens?
No, but that's...
What happens?
It doesn't matter what happens.
They go off mission,
they go off
screw
mission,
it up.
And the reason they go off mission is because they want to see if they can retrieve the first bomb so that they have 2 chances instead of 1 of detonating and restarting the sun.
Okay. Half of them say this is the stupidest thing. We can't possibly be considering going off our mission, which is working. We are on track to do what we want to do. If we go to the second ship, everything is at risk. Everything. We may not recover that first ship, and we may screw up our ship. We should not go off mission.
And leave it up to the physicists.
And he stupidly
says...
Oh, see, now
stupid. It was not stupid.
Mark, what happens? It winds up being incredibly stupid.
Yeah,
everybody
but they don't
dies.
know that. He was taking a chance.
Mark, listen to me. No. I'm saying that it wound up being the stupidest decision they could have made. Yes or no?
Yes. In hindsight. Yes. In hindsight.
Right. So while they're having that conversation, half of them are saying, we shouldn't even be having this discussion because something could go wrong. Those people are correct.
Yes.
Everybody who says, let's take a chance, is putting every life on Earth at risk.
You're looking at hindsight again. You're only looking at the hindsight.
No, Mark, I'm not.
Because not everything was going perfect.
Their ship was perfectly fine.
No, there were things that were happening on the ship before they even knew that other ship
There wasn't.
Still existed.
The only thing that was happening was they lost communications with Earth a little earlier than they thought. Otherwise, everything was perfectly fine. The only time that things start screwing up is when the one guy makes a miscalculation in order to rendezvous with the first ship. That's when things go to hell. That's when the solar shield gets damaged. That is when things start screwing up. And at that point, it's, pardon the expression, it snowballs. And it's one mistake after another. No, half of them, including Chris Evans, he's on my side here, Mark.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But the physicist,
yeah,
he was the right person to make that decision.
Well, I disagree.
And the decision was, do we put all the eggs in one basket, or do we get a second basket and hope for the best for having two chances instead of one?
Okay,
and
but this is what they know. This is what they know, that the first ship could be totally ruined. It could be frozen inside. It could be burned up inside. They don't know anything about that first ship, so they put their mission in jeopardy. They put the lives of every human being on Earth in jeopardy to take a chance. A chance! And that is the stupidest decision they could make, and it winds up being the stupidest decision they could make. That isn't hindsight. That is weighing the odds and saying we shouldn't do it
and
because it's working.
And the physicist weighed the odds.
Makes the mistake.
No, it doesn't make a mistake. He weighs the odds and gives his opinion.
But what happens?
Well, it doesn't matter what happens.
You don't make a mistake knowing it's a mistake. You make a mistake and you find out after the fact, well, he made the wrong call. It was not the right call at the time because it wound up being the wrong call.
Yeah, but it could have worked out.
Well, yeah, but they also could have just got out of the ship and flown to the sun, and that wouldn't have worked out either.
No, that makes no sense. You have no idea what the ramifications of your decision is. Yes, in hindsight, they made the wrong call, but you don't know it at the time.
Okay, I'll say this again and take a chance.
You don't have to say that again. I heard you the first time.
Well, you're not understanding me.
Yes, I'm understanding exactly what you're saying, but I'm also trying to tell you that
you're saying it was worth taking a risk.
Look, they weren't sure if their bomb would work at all. It wasn't a given that their mission was going to even work. That's what they said.
They had the best chance by just carrying on their mission.
They said that they weren't sure if this bomb would work.
So how many bombs do they use at the end? How many bombs? Do they have two bombs?
Not the point. The point is, the physicists thought, hey, if the first bomb doesn't work, I'll have a second one. Maybe that one would work. So he was going for the second bomb because he figured two bombs were better than one. That's as simple as I can say it.
That's the simple, wrong decision.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's just a movie. All I can say is that your point of view is different than my point of view, and I don't care how you rationalize it.
Sorry, your opinion is wrong.
I don't care how you rationalize it. I thought it was the right decision.
No, see, they had to do that in order to get some action into the movie. Otherwise, it would have been a perfectly smooth mission. They would have sent there.
And what if the bomb didn't work?
Sent the bomb. Well, then they got an escape vehicle. They come back out, and then they get the second ship. But you don't risk your primary mission.
Well, I don't know if they could do
chance.
That. I don't think they could have done that.
Well, you don't think so. However, you think that just stopping a gigantic nuclear bomb as it's heading to the sun, you think stopping it then and flying over, is a good idea?
No, I'm saying that they're on their way to the sun. They're going to pass by this thing if they just do a short detour. I don't think they could have gone all the way to the sun and then come back and then go back towards the sun again if they needed a second bomb. They couldn't have done that. That's just not on the table. It wouldn't have worked.
No, it makes much more sense to put everything at risk and not do your mission.
We're arguing way too much about this.
Well, I don't see what's to argue. That is the whole crux of the movie is they screw up royally, and we see the results of the screw up. We don't see the results of their good intentions. We see how bad things go. And everyone on that ship who said don't do it is justified and was correct. And the fact that they leave a decision like this up to the physicist is another stupid decision. The captain is the only one who should have made that decision. And he abrogates his responsibility and says, I'll go with the physicist.
The captain wasn't the smartest guy in the world.
No.
How would you give him that decision?
He's the captain.
Yeah, just because he's a captain doesn't mean he's going to make
This is not a democracy. This is not a democracy. He's the captain.
He cannot make a scientific decision like that.
This is not a scientific decision.
Yeah,
this is a mission decision.
It's a scientific decision.
It's a mission decision. They were on their mission. They were fulfilling their mission. They decided to go off mission. Things went to hell. The end. That's it.
Yeah,
they're lucky they got one bomb to the sun, and the one bomb worked. They didn't need the first ship. They shouldn't have bothered. They killed all those people for no reason because they had an escape vehicle. And that's what it comes down to.
And how were they to know there'd be a madman on that other ship?
Exactly. You back up my point. They had no idea what they were facing. Therefore, you don't face it. You carry on, and you save everybody on Earth, and you save your own crew.
I'd hate to be on a ship with you.
Well, I wouldn't make stupid, bloody decisions like that. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I think they would be throwing you off the ship. Anyway, onward!
Okay, our last movie is a new one, 2013 anyway. Snowpiercer, it's called. Directed by Joon-ho Bong, written by Bong and Kelly Masterson. Stars Chris Evans as Curtis, Jamie Bell as Edgar, the great John Hurt as Gilliam, Octavia Spencer as Tanya, Ewan Bremner, also from Danny Boyle's movie Trainspotting. Ed Harris plays Wilford, who is the engineer of the train, the Snowpiercer, and Tilda Swinton in what is probably the ugliest woman's role I have ever seen in a movie. She is magnificently ugly in this movie and plays it like a true champion. This movie is a very heavy-handed allegory of society today, with the super rich living at the front of the train and the very
explain
poor.
What the train is.
I'm explaining this part. And the very poor are living in squalor at the back of the train. And what happens in this movie is a revolution. And the poor people decide they want their fair share because they know that the rich people up front are living in luxury, and they are. So they start storming from car to car to car. The children are being taken away, for example, stuff like that. So it's one indignity piled on another, and all they've got to eat is this disgusting protein jelly.
Yeah.
It just looks horrible.
Looks like strawberry jam in a cube.
Black jelly, it looks like. It's more like Soylent Green. When we find out what it's made out of, it's not nice.
Yeah, but practical.
Oh, maybe for the poor people. That's what the poor people are eating tonight. So the notion of this movie is that an experiment to stop
global warming
or even reverse global warming, climate change, has plunged the entire planet into deep freeze. It's a worldwide ice age, and the only humans that we know of left alive are on this super train built by Ed Harris called the Snowpiercer. And I suppose because all the oceans are frozen and the tracks got laid down at the last minute, the train just circles the globe again and again and again. And it
takes 1 year to circle the globe.
Right. And
it's going kind of fast.
Yeah. For some reason, the faster you go, the better it is. And
I don't know what it is.
So they recycle their water, they grow food, they have cars with greenhouses.
Why would they have to recycle their water? They got tons of snow.
The poor people are drinking recycled water.
Oh, I like that. Anyway, it's such a silly premise.
It's a silly premise the way George Orwell's Animal Farm is a silly premise, with talking animals and stuff. It's like a fairy tale. It is by no means meant to be taken literally. This is not a science fiction movie. This isn't even attempting to be as realistic as Sunshine. This is pure nonsense.
It is.
But I really enjoyed it.
It's a fun movie.
I thought all the performances were just tremendous.
Yeah, I thought it was fun too. I like the fact that the way they punish people is by opening a portal on the side of the
tiny little ring open
and stuffing someone's arm through it and letting it freeze solid.
And then they bring them in and they shatter the arm to pieces.
That's fun.
That's so horrible. My God, I could only imagine. First, it would hurt as your arm froze, and then once your shattered shoulder started to thaw out, the pain would just be beyond excruciating.
Yeah. That's the thing about this movie, is that you had your rich elite, and then they had a guard between the poor and them.
Yeah.
And the guard were like these military police that were, I mean, they had the helmets, almost like Nazi helmets. They had the face guard, so you can't even see their faces. No. And, of course, the people who are poor are so bad off.
Yeah.
So every so often, and this isn't the first time, they decide that they're going to take the train.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's not. It's a good movie. It's a new movie. Let's not give too much away.
Yeah, I'm just saying that this isn't the first time that this has happened.
Yeah. So revolutions come and go. I don't believe we get an absolute clear idea of how long this train's been traveling, but a long time. Like,
I believe they do mention it. I think it's 17 years it's been going.
It's a long time. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. It's not long enough for every. Yeah. That's right, because Chris Evans' character was there at the beginning.
Yeah.
It's a wild ride.
But I like the fact that when they're going from coach to coach, different things are happening.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And you go by dentist's office and swimming pools and the most, physical fitness.
And the most horribly decadent disco.
Yeah, and the drug dens.
Orgy rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rich people up front
are really living it up.
Contribute nothing.
Doesn't seem to be
contributing anything. Yeah, again, this goes to show that just how silly the premise is.
Yeah, and the elementary schools.
Yes, yeah.
And now
they're just indoctrinating the children.
They're just teaching the children how bad the poor people are.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, the enemy is in the back of the train. Yeah.
But I just thought
But isn't Tilda Swinton... Isn't she just magnificent as this monster? And she's an odd-looking woman to start with, but they've given her the most hideous Jerry Lewis fake teeth, which sort of jut out of her mouth at all angles.
And, like Coke bottle glass.
Oh, she is just horrible. Plus, she's a monster. She's a true, horrible monster.
Bureaucracy. That's what she is.
Yeah.
She's the person that's supposed to tell all the poor people what's happening.
You know what this reminds me of is Terry Gilliam's great movie Brazil.
Yeah.
Because
very much so.
It's just as ridiculous as that movie was. It slides between something close to reality and something so far-fetched that you just laugh at it. It's so ridiculous. But again, like Gilliam's movie, it's an allegory. It's a fairy story.
Oh, yeah. But at the same time, like, why not more than one train? Maybe there were more than one train.
No, but they give you the history. Ed Harris, since he was a child, he was obsessed with trains, and he built his fortune on trains, and he saw further than anybody else. He saw what was coming, and he built the Snowpiercer, and he saved a tiny microcosm of humanity, and he is God, essentially.
Yeah.
Also, of course, it's not dissimilar in a lot of ways, and again, I don't want to give what happens away, but it's got a lot in common with the Matrix movies.
A little bit.
What ultimately happens in the Matrix movies and the system, can it be changed? Should it be changed?
Or should it be torn down?
Should it be smashed or should it be left alone? Can it be smashed? And that's the other thing. Is a revolution really possible? So, terrific movie. A lot of communist-type talk here. I
just thought the reason they took the kids were kind of weird.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that the weirdest thing to do to a kid?
Yeah, the whole thing is just very weird. Okay, so I don't see a point really doing the recap here.
You don't?
we did. These are all movies that we liked.
Pretty much, yeah. They all were pretty good.
Yeah. Chris Evans, I'd have to say he looks like a pretty boy, but he's made at least some movies that have more depth. He's like Brad Pitt that way. Brad Pitt started off as just a real good-looking fella, but he's managed to make some really good movies.
Yep.
Some of them even artistic.
Yeah.
For example, 12 Monkeys, another Terry Gilliam movie.
Yeah.
And Chris Evans, I think, has striven to be more than just a good-looking leading man.
Yeah.
And more credit to him. One thing we said we were going to mention in the Iceman, and we didn't, is the James Franco character. The Iceman, Michael Shannon, is sent to deal with James Franco, he's like a little low-level bookie or something. He screwed Ray Liotta's character anyway out of some dough, and he doesn't have it, and the Iceman has been sent to...
Yeah, knock him off.
And Franco does everything he can in about 3 minutes to try to save his own life, but doesn't work. Yeah. But I just thought, it's wonderful. It's so nice to see James Franco scrambling and totally out of his depth.
The fact that, at one point he just starts praying. Yeah.
It's like, and that's the last time he gets is, and Michael Shannon goes, "Are you done?"
It's like, I want to, and it's piqued his interest.
Yeah.
Because he says, "I want to see if your God is going to stop me."
Yeah, that's right. He
said, so I'll let you have a little time to pray.
Yeah. We don't learn a lot about Michael Shannon. We learn that he's a cold person, but we don't learn a lot about him. But that's interesting because we do see there's a sadistic streak to him, the way he's basically pulling the legs off a spider here as he's looking at poor James Franco, and he's mocking him. And Franco knows this is not going to save his life, but he's hoping for a miracle. And Michael Shannon's character, of course, is give me a miracle. Because that's the only thing that'll save you.
Yeah.
He is the hammer.
So there are some interesting scenes in that.
Yeah. Well, I think all these movies are worth watching.
Yeah.
And, of course, everybody go watch Sunshine and write in and tell us what you think. Okay. All right. So that's it